So I'm Dave Birch, I'm Director of Innovation at Hyperion, which is a specialist electronic transactions consultancy. I'm a visiting professor at the University of Surrey Business School, and I'm interested in the real-world applications of new technologies. So broadly speaking, I guess I have 2 or 3 areas of expertise which are useful for this. So just to pick up on something Sue said, one of our clients is IDNYC, so I know a little bit about getting ID to undocumented people at population scale. I may well be the only person in the room who has actually been detained by Her Majesty's Immigration and Border people. Has anybody else here? I mean, you talk it up the storm. Who else has actually been detained by immigration? Thank you very much. So, excellent. So that's valuable expertise. So, fortunately, because it was me, they put you in the cell and then they come back with your passport a bit later on and start asking you questions about, I see you were in France in February 2003. Was that business or like I couldn't even remember if it was January. If you were asking me about January, I wouldn't have any idea. And that's how I got out. Because I think terrorists would really try and memorise them. Hadn't got a clue. So I know a little bit about being detained as well. And thirdly, I know how blockchains work, which I think puts me in a fairly substantial minority amongst the things I go to about this. Which brings me to the nub of the issue. So the question is, because a lot of these things I go to, and I'm not making fun about that thing we went to a couple of weeks ago, but you and I were both at this thing, and people were talking about the blockchain like they were talking about pixies. Like they were saying, well, how are we going to help these? But well, it's okay because pixies are going to take care of the whole. Like that's what they were saying. Nobody had the faintest idea what a blockchain was or how it worked. But it was going to fix everything in some unspecified way that nobody had actually come across. So, and the title of the pen is architecture. So the question is, what is the architecture that's going to happen? So, and I'll just very quickly answer that in 3 ways. So first of all, I'll ask the same question I always ask when somebody says, can we use the blockchain for X, whatever X is, which is, well, what's in the blocks? If we're going to use the so what are you going to put in the block? So the blockchain is going to help undocumented migrants in Germany. That's fantastic. What are you going to put in the blocks? Right? And you may, okay, so we can put data in the blocks about people. That's a really bad idea. I actually went to I won't say names, it's not a problem. I went to a thing they were talking about, it was actually with people trafficking. And there's the women that are escaping from being trafficked and whatever. And we're going to put their details in the blockchain. Like, what are you talking about? That's insane! You're going to build a database of vulnerable women that anybody can read. Why? What is the... Well, here comes the blockchain's magic. It's going to take care of it. So the question is, clearly, for the reason you outlined, you can't put personal data in there. That's stupid. So we can put hashes of documents in there, which in your use case makes sense, but for undocumented it makes no sense. What are these documents you're going to... And then when I turn up at the border, it's okay because there's a hash of my birth certificate on the blockchain. So that's a big help, so this way to the cells, please. You can open the door yourself. But obviously I come from the more technological side of things. So if the question is there something we can put in blocks which might be helpful, the answer, broadly speaking, is proofs. So what's interesting to me is using the blockchain to form a record of proofs. And I can give you a very trivial example, which is that you can cryptographically construct a proof that I'm over 18 and therefore allowed to buy a beer without giving away who I am. It's to do with set construction. I mean, essentially, I have to provide a cryptographic proof that I'm in the set of people that are over 18 without disclosing which member of the set I am. And that seems to me to be a viable area of research in the RegTech context you were talking about. I think this is an area where research is appropriate and where I think all of the... So is it possible to think of things you could put in the blocks which would actually help? I think the answer is yes, but it's a lot more complicated than I think people make it out. So the idea you've got to scan some document and put in it doesn't make any sense. And the third thing is, and by the way, when what you're going to put in this, I have favourite examples of a lot of things. My favourite example of German undocumented migrants at the moment. Actually, I have two favourite things about German undocumented migrants at the moment. So one is the German government passed a rule which said that, because they give undocumented migrants this kind of temporary ID card, and they passed a law to say anybody who's got one of these temporary ID cards should be able to open a bank account, because financial inclusion is an essential if you're going to incorporate people in society and get them to do something useful. And of course the banks won't take it, even though the government said, because the banks say, well, it doesn't comply with FATF and whatever. In other words, because the district court in Waco, East Texas, can fine us $17 billion for taking this, you can call it what you like, we're not taking it. There's an international dimension, and the blockchain is not going to fix it. I don't want to break any hearts, but I have to be the one that's going to tell you the blockchain is not going to fix that, whatever we do with it. Second, my other favourite German thing at the moment is, I don't know if you follow these stories, but all of the army barracks in Germany were shut last week because they've been searched by the police. And the reason is because the police found a locker full of guns at a railway station, and so somebody was cleaning them or something. So what they did was they staked out the locker to see who came to pick up these guns, right? So this guy turns up to pick up the guns, they arrest him. He turns out to be a serving German soldier. He belongs to this Nazi cell in the German army, right? So they take him down to the police station, run his prints. His prints show up in the Syrian refugee database, because him and his mates have all taken the precaution to go down and register themselves as Syrian refugees, just to make sure if their fingerprints are ever found on any guns or bombs or anything, it goes to refugee base. So the blockchain's not magic. The blockchain doesn't know that they're not refugees. Like, you take those fingerprints and put them on the blockchain, and now forever they're on. Like, how does the blockchain know that he's not a refugee but really a? It's mad. And once it's on the blockchain, it's there forever. You've got to be really, really careful if you're going to start putting things on blockchains. They're going to be there forever. Whatever your right to be forgotten says about it, or Theresa May's, you can delete your Facebook pictures or whatever it is. Like, it's on the blockchain. It's on the blockchain. Full stop. So my 3 points are, actually I forgot what my 3 points are, but some good points are, like, if somebody says you're going to use the blockchain for good, or actually for evil, because to be honest, I'm on the fence. I don't know which way we want to use the blockchain yet. But if somebody says we're going to use the blockchain, ask them what is in the block, because unless you can ask that basic question, you don't know what you're talking about. What are you actually going to put in the blocks? Otherwise, we have the whole thing. Secondly, I don't want to make the private key point because it's inappropriate. No, I will make the private key point, which is just to agree with this completely. So when this comes down to proving ownership of things as opposed to having proofs about you, if it's proving ownership of something, whatever it is on the blockchain, that comes down to having the private key. Okay. Now, people print them out on pieces of paper and then the dog eats them and stuff like that. So now, my solution to that is well known. It's on Twitter. I printed out my private key. Is a QR code, and I had it tattooed onto my scrotum, and that works for me. But I'm not saying that's a universal solution. I don't know if everybody's comfortable with that. But it is the only PKI joke in existence, which is that other people have a private key, but I have a private key. Get it? Come on! How many PKI jokes have you ever heard, John? Come on! It's not fair. So there's this issue about the... And that has to be an institutional solution, because unless there are some institutions that are going to take care of that for people, they really are a bit stuffed. And I want to make another point about why you're even talking about a blockchain, because a blockchain is only one specific kind of shared ledger technology. You're only going to want to use it. The point of blockchains is they work when there are untrusted third parties who are part of the network. So if you have a network of aid agencies, or who exactly is the untrusted third party that's in? Because wouldn't our time be better spent tracking them down, rather than computing proofs of work in inappropriate places? Anyway, that's my point. So it could be useful, but it's more complicated than you think. And obviously I say that because I'm a tech guy. Bye.